All right, everybody, welcome. This is the RE Soul Matters Implementation Lab for Sanctuary, which we're doing in September for next month's theme. And the way I do this is do a few announcements. I review the packet, sort of the lenses that I saw as I was writing that packet, and then we'll open it up and we'll do three things in a structured way. Say 1 minute for each person on the challenges that you're facing looking forward into October. It might be just with your implementation in general, or it might be on the theme of sanctuary. The opportunities, and I also encourage you to take a moment to talk about the solutions you feel might be appropriate to anyone who has been through the challenge. Oh, there's some interesting music. There you go. It's great if you can mute yourself, since we have quite a few people online. And there is a way to mute those of you who are on audio, and I totally forget. Maybe one of our regulars remembers. It's something like *7 or something. We'll get that in a minute. And yeah, or you could put it in the chat box. And what was the other thing? Oh, yes. And then the final minute will be on takeaways. So we'll do that as a structured sharing after the review. So I also encourage you to, as many of you are finding, put your name, your location, and your congregation in the chat box. So good morning and good afternoon. We have people here from Chicago and California. I'm in Colorado. Leah's in New York State. It's nice. And then Joan is from Quincy. Yay, Joan. She holds up the East Coast. We hope you're not going to get too much rain from that hurricane up there. Sounds like it's going to hit lower, and I hope all our people are okay. So, few announcements. Just like regular church, we start with announcements. One is we do have a Facebook page, and if you, for any reason you've missed it or you aren't subscribed, I want to encourage you to get on the Facebook page, because we have Robin Slaw posting her wonderful bookmarks, her PDF bookmarks on the themes every month. We have bulletin board ideas that show up. Right now there's vision board ideas out there, and the Spotify playlist for the theme is also posted there, as well as some chats about, hey, everybody, what should I do about such and such? So that's another good support. Then the other announcement I have is brand new. You might have seen it on the Laredo listserv this morning, but it came out, and I told Scott, I said, Scott, it's on the Laredo listserv, because someone else had posted it. And he says, oh, I better fix the button then. I didn't think anyone would see it since last night. So we now have the buttons up. And this is an announcement about our webinar for meditation. So Reverend Jalen Scott is our youth meditation consultant for Soul Matters. And we've asked her to do a webinar on how to do meditation with children. She's going to provide tools for using meditation, how to deepen their connection to meditation, and discuss developmentally appropriate approaches to meditation. I've worked with Jaylyn for many years. She came to the congregation I was working with through Naropa University, and now she's an ordained Buddhist minister, as well as having been a lifespan UU religious educator. And I tell you, the things I've seen her do. We did GA camp together, and she held those 30 middle schoolers in her hand with a deep meditation. If you can imagine that, it was nothing short of miraculous, if you ask me, to have all those squirrely middle schoolers doing quiet meditation all together. It was beautiful moments. And I've seen her in many other moments. Some of you have heard me describe the Dharma camp we did together. So we're real excited about that. And there is actually a day and time, which I should include in the announcements, Tuesday, September 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is also 1 p.m. Eastern time. There will be a cost for this. It's $20 for Soul Matters subscribers and $30 for non-Soul Matters members. So we're inviting the larger community. So I hope you can do that, because we're also going to help you implement all those meditations that she's putting in. We've just upped our contract with her, so we're going to have even more meditations per month to use. All right, so welcome everyone. I love to see your faces. Now I'll do a little bit of review of that packet. So Sanctuary, we've got to pull back from startup in September, and you're all deep into vision, I bet. But looking ahead, the theme of Sanctuary: places of protection, comfort, hope, and centeredness. That was our theme. And the lenses I used were for children. The idea that Sanctuary is an actual meeting room. Many of us in our congregations call it a sanctuary. And from that, I also included some things that I observed over my years as a DRE. And that was that children immediately recognized church if it had stained glass windows. And if we didn't have stained glass windows, it's like, well, we're not a real church. And so I put in some sanctuary stuff. Hey, welcome. Some stained glass window coloring pages, those kinds of things, because then the actual physical place will be a way of exploring sanctuary for children. And I also used a little bit of Chalice Children for both the youth and the little guys, the little preschoolers, in the idea of taking a tour of the inside and outside of your facility, if possible. That was the first suggestion for a session. The second suggestion for a session is about sanctuary as a place of protection for people. And of course, this is very exciting because we are part of the new sanctuary movement. And I found out that we were the first national organization, national denomination to endorse the new sanctuary movement. I thought that was really cool. I didn't know that. That new sanctuary movement, of course, is inviting a person who is in danger of being deported to stay in sanctuary in the congregational facility. So my internship or interimship last spring with the UU Church of Boulder, they had a family, a small family living there in sanctuary. So I got to experience what that was like. What it meant sometimes was you walk in and there's a bicycle in the hall because her children would be living there and it became a home for them. Very uniquely moving experience, and she's still there. Okay, so that's the second session. The third session is about the protection of all beings. So it's so accessible to do animal stuff with children, isn't it? We don't have enough clay and animals in our lives when we're 7 years old, in my humble opinion. So we look at the animal sanctuaries. The elephant stuff that's on the web is just wonderful. The stories of the dog and this poor sad elephant from a circus. And as well as there's the idea of nature sanctuaries, just a place where we preserve a certain place. And of course, I went immediately to my recent visit to the Tallgrass Prairie Nature Sanctuary, which is outside of Topeka, Kansas. And how beautiful that blue stem and gamma grass is. That was the original prairie. Then the last one of our 4 sessions suggested for 4 Sundays in October would be the Sanctuary of Inner Quiet. And there's lots of beautiful stuff for the youth especially. Even the games in Deep Fun, the UUA's Deep Fun site, just speak so much to finding the inner quiet. And me and my sensory playfulness, I said, okay, we got to do earplugs in the Wonder Box. You know, you can order 100 or so of earplugs. And my partner wears earplugs all the time. He's works in sort of industrial things. So we have them around everywhere. Every lot washing that I do, there's like 6 earplugs that come out. So anyway, I encourage you to get some earplugs. They're not very expensive, so that they can hear what it's like not to hear very well in there and then out. And what does quiet sanctuary mean for them? The other image of quiet sanctuary for children and youth is to watch the milkweed seeds now floating. You know, anything that will help them enter this sense of quiet. Okay. The other things that I wanted to note in the packet are attempts at UU identity making. So Michael Servetus has a little feature for October because he was actually killed, executed by burning at the stake on October something. And his story is worth telling. And the angle for sanctuary, which I had never realized, is that he went to I think it's Zurich in the 1500s to find sanctuary from John Calvin, who was the Protestant there. And John Calvin betrayed him to the Inquisition. And you know, the people who have gone to seminary all seem to know this. And I said, well, that wasn't very nice. And no, it wasn't. He probably wouldn't have had to been executed if he hadn't been betrayed to the Inquisition, because of the rest of the Protestants didn't want to be facing the Inquisition either, so they could have given him sanctuary. And then his brashness as a 20-year-old, you can imagine him telling all these Catholic priests, you have no idea what you're talking about. And his language was so confrontational. It's very interesting. I think the youth would enjoy doing that as a role play for the church. That's just what I envisioned. The other thing I wanted to lift up was something I think will become famous in the annals and the halls of UU, which is Tim Atkins' The Umbrella Sanctuary story. Just amazing. It's on the worship web, and of course there's a link in our packet. But it's wonderful, and he has people in the congregation holding up umbrellas to be an umbrella sanctuary. Let's see. Last thing I wanted to say is about books. I've had a couple of things come across my email saying, hey, it's really hard to find these books. I have to schlep down to the library and they don't have them, and then I can't find them. Could you put the whole book in the packet? Well, I really can't because of copyright laws. However, my trick is to go onto YouTube and see if there is someone reading that story. And then you can get an immediate sense of, oh yeah, I like the words, it's very appropriate, or no, this isn't going to work. And so for some of the cases, I put the book link and the video link in. And I sometimes will say, this person is reading it and she's got all kinds of extraneous comments and I don't like it. However, if you need to get a sense of the book, use this video. The other way I saw the video being used was a young mother who was too busy to go to the library, and she just opened up her laptop and showed the kids the video. It wasn't ideal, but it certainly worked for those Saturday evening planners that we all know and love. She said, yeah, okay, here's the book. So 2 little tips from the packet. I hope the youth someday will build a sanctuary or build a labyrinth. That was a connection I found in Tapestry of Faith. Real easy way to build a labyrinth, and what a nice way to explore inner quiet. I think that would be a nice service contribution to the congregation. Let me check. Okay, perfect. It's 11:15 my time. So now it's time to invite those of you who'd like to speak, and don't feel bad if you want to lurk, about the challenges that you might be experiencing, or any of the sort of downsides of the theme or the implementation of our packet. And I'll tell you what, I'll just go through, and Joan, I'll give you a heads up, you're the first on my monitor, so I'll keep talking for a minute so you can unmute yourself, and then I'll just go through, and it'll be Leah, then Kate, then Marty, then Sam, and we'll do that. And if you don't have anything to say, that's fine too. I don't mind lurkers. So Joan.
Hi. So I guess for me, my bigger concern is this is like week number 4. I've just recently hired and dealing with more like who was even in the classroom, because that's a big issue. We've been in the middle of some construction because the city of Quincy created a park that goes between the church and the town hall. We have the 2 Adams presidents in the basement and in a crypt. So there are lots of things I can see doing with this, but I'm just kind of like mired in basic administration right now. So, and never having used the Soul Matters before, it's a kind of a new experience wading through all of it, but it's been really helpful.
You have a crypt?
Yes.
Oh my.
So we have the 2 President Adams and their wives in the basement of the church.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Well, there you go. I just made a whole month about that. I think that's amazing. All right. Any other challenges you want to mention?
Oh, that's probably enough.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, I know that this is a crazy month. All right, and thank you. Next on my screen is Leah.
Hi, everybody. So thanks for this. I think I've said this in previous years. For us around here, October is like Swiss cheese, because with Columbus Day weekend, and then our church has a retreat the weekend after, and so it's very cool, but it's not free. And there are scholarships, but some people just don't have enough to scrape together. So my challenge is doing something for the children and youth here when a lot of the volunteers are at the retreat. So what I started doing is doing a service myself. The minister's away. And so what I'm exploring this year, and I started in the summer, is creating services for all that are not multi-generational, in terms of we're not going to have much of a sermon, and there's going to be some big pageantry kind of thing happening like we do with the ingathering and Christmas and Easter and the Wheel of Life and, teacher appreciation. So my challenge is getting a message together, making it more interactive, breaking the message into several parts, promoting it to everybody. So, because when you put family in the description, lots of people don't come. They shy away from that because it doesn't have what they want. So I'm intrigued by the Tim story. So maybe that's a way to get interactive. The other thing this year is I'm writing curriculum for the 8th and 9th grade, because this is we have identified that people vote with their feet. For us, we don't do coming of age in Sunday school. We do it as 9th and 10th graders in Sunday afternoon. And we haven't found a curriculum yet that will keep them. So I'm doing a social justice curriculum that I'm writing. So those are my challenges.
Lovely. Whew. And you're both under your minute, so good job. Next on my screen is Marty.
Hi there, and I'm pretty new to all this, and I appreciate you letting me lurk. I don't have anything I want to bring up at the moment.
Well, welcome, Marty. We always love our lurkers. All right, next on my screen is a audio person, 540-357-5657 if you want to speak up.
No, I don't have anything to ask or add right now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next on my screen is Kate Holland.
Hi. I think I'm grateful for all of the resources. It's my first time working with Soul Matters this year. And we have, like a lot of congregations, we have a really broad range of ages that we're working with in smaller classes. So I have 2 classes and the age range is huge. I have kindergarten to 3rd or 4th grade, and then I have 5th to whatever shows up on the higher end as well. So I'm just really grateful. There's so many great kind of resources to kind of pull and adjust and put into those spaces. So thank you.
Good. Awesome. Thanks, Kate. One-room schoolhouses are us, aren't they? Yes, they are. Next on my screen is Joan, and she's gone already. This changed a little bit. Next on my screen is Sam. There we go.
Hi, good morning. So as far as challenges go, it's not necessarily Soul Matters related. We're doing some restructuring of our high school group, and it's new adults and welcoming in a lot of new teens that have been away from the program because of lack of structure and lack of proper boundaries that have been in place since before I came in. So big challenges there, and the minister and I are breathing our way through it. As far as sanctuary goes, the last Sunday in October is when we do our intergen service about honoring our ancestors. And this year we lucked out that through an auction through another congregation, we have a guest of an author, Amada Perez, who is phenomenal, and her stories and writings all have to do with immigration and her family history going into Mexico a long ways away and transitioning here into the United States and what that all involves. So she's going to be a part of our intergen service and sharing her stories and really giving a personal touch to the idea of sanctuary. So we're really looking forward to working with her. And the other thing that we're changing up a little bit when it comes to our intergen services is we recently received the message that not everyone enjoys intergen service, which is a duh. Not everyone likes those. So now we're looking at offering our first service when we would have our RE classes that's our family service, the intergen service for that day. The second service is more of the norm, less family, a little more adult oriented. We're going to play with that and see what happens. But otherwise, we're really excited about having Amada join us on this thing. It's going to be great.
Wonderful. Okay, lots of good challenges there. High school group. Woohoo! All right. Next on mine is, oh, this keeps changing around, is Corinna.
Hello. I, like Leah, am doing an all ages service. I had mentioned that earlier. It's on September 30th, but our theme is a house of hope, and we're doing the Rebecca Parker metaphor of the theological description of our faith. And so I haven't had a chance to look too closely in the packet, so I was just hoping I'd get a sneak preview from you all of what might be some good elements that I can plug into that worship service from the sanctuary theme. And I think, that we will just introduce the theme a Sunday early through this service. Leah, what was the story that you mentioned that was in there that you said that you might use? That was by Tim something?
Yeah, that's the one that Katie mentioned, that the umbrella story.
Okay.
And it's about sanctuary. But there are these that you could use for the house too, I bet you.
Is that in the
packet? Yeah.
Which, is it a particular lesson or is it?
I think it's under the stories.
Okay, in the stories, I'll look.
Yeah.
And I also will mention, we did another all ages service earlier over the summer, because we do a little mini camp and then the kids put on the service. And we did, I cannot highly recommend enough the story The Journey by Francesca Sana. And the kids acted that out, and then we did a special collection for separated families. So if you want to do immigration sanctuary type component or story with your kids, it's a beautiful book, and the story is really touching. And I think our congregation was impressed that the children took on such a mature subject in their service. So check it out. And I think you might be able to find it on YouTube too. Someone reading it for sure.
So and just so you know, that is one of the books, recommended books for all ages as well.
Great.
Awesome. Also nice to know when we get recommendations from several sources, isn't it? DRE Beth Moss is next on my screen.
Hi there, how are you?
Hi.
To share a little bit, I'm also in the boat of doing coming of age, and that being my main joy and challenge really for the moment. I'm working with a curriculum that is a couple years old that I found from another church, and I combined it with compass points, which I've done one other time and which I really like quite a bit, although my youth have the opinion that it's a little bit talk heavy, so I have to be careful to add in some other activities. But really my main challenge is making sure that I'm getting those very committed kids through the door and creating a program that is attractive to them when there are many other things attracting their attention. One thing I tried to do was to condense the essential material for my coming of age into a singular session, so just once a month, to try and limit the amount of times that I'm trying to get them through the door, since I know on the whole, RE is kind of you come when you feel like it. No one expects you to be there every single Sunday. You can get benefit no matter how often you're there, but that's where I'm at.
Great. All right. Yes, another youth challenge. Thank you, Beth. Next on my screen is, let's see, we did that one. I think that might be it. Is there someone that I'm not seeing who would like to speak up? I think we've got everyone. Great challenges. Some youth challenges, some Swiss cheese challenges with lots of interest in for all ages ideas, or not for all ages, all ages, intergen services, one room schoolhouse challenge. Great. Good job, you guys. Well, yes, it is a challenging job, isn't it? We wouldn't have it if we weren't people who love challenges, I think. So how about if we go into the opportunities? And certainly I think this is where we can build on what we just heard. If you want to talk more about the all ages services or high school stuff, that's great, but thank you for limiting yourself to a minute. So we are right on time to move into the next session on opportunities/solutions. All right, Corinna, I'm going to call on you first because there you are in my lineup.
I need solutions from everyone else.
Yeah.
I would also love an idea for some sort of congregation-wide craft that I could do during that service that's somehow, house related. Oh, look. Leah's showing something right now.
Yes.
So this is from, we started using this for our coming of age, is To This I Give My Heart.
I have one.
Okay, so you check out, mine doesn't have pages on it, which I find frustrating. Oh yes, this version does. It's page 68. And I
Okay.
don't know all the metaphors of Rebecca Parker's House of Hope, but this one has, the roof is what we believe, the walls are what hold us together, the door is about our mission. So wouldn't it be neat to have some sort of mural that could come from people's input if you had a big board up front or something like that, or in the back or wherever.
I'm trying to think like I could have a big felt board or something and people could come forward and put different pizzas on it while we work.
Right, maybe like you could have different like slates or like what are the things on the roof called? Shingles.
Shingles, yeah.
Panes of glass. Do you have a stained glass? So you could have like the basic outline and then people could put their own.
Right.
You had a way of dividing them up.
And I would love also, because we have a large bulletin board, if there was some way that then that was ending with a creation that we could put on there for the month of sanctuary after we get done with this.
Ooh.
So, yeah. Okay. Putting pieces together. That sounds good. Ooh, Sam has a suggestion.
Let's see.
There we go. So something that we started doing last year as we began Soul Matters is we have an entire wall in our social hall that is dedicated as our art wall. And it's a living, breathing project that is geared around the theme for that month. And the two women who run the wall are brilliant with the different ideas that they have, that they come forward to decorate the wall, whether they painted part of it with chalk paint, so people could go up and write on chalk. There's another part that's painted with magnetic paint, so like those magnetic words, poem words, there are a ton of them for people to slap up there. They've worked with paint chips. They've worked, we did a huge rock painting session, so our courtyard area is decorated with some beautiful pieces of art that they've done. But it's an ongoing process, and it's a permanent fixture that's always being announced. I wish I knew what she was doing for Sanctuary, because we just put up our vision wall. So I can't quite give you an idea there. But having that permanent fixture, everyone always gets really excited about it. Everyone's always wanting to contribute. Everyone's always wondering, oh, what are we doing next month? What's coming up? How are we celebrating this theme? And how are we sharing this theme? And it's really wonderful to see the words that people put up and they contribute. There was one month in particular, as you're talking about cork boards, where as people were coming into service, they were given index cards and were asked to write about, I think it was writing down what their hope for the congregation was in the coming year, and writing it down. They didn't have to share it, but there was an opportunity during the service where people got to go up and put their hope for the congregation on the cork board. And then after services that day, our two art wall women went and moved those cards onto the wall so that everyone had an opportunity to go and read these beautiful ideas and hopes for our congregation and the path that we wanted to go down for the year. So just some thoughts on that.
Thank you, Sam. That's actually fantastic idea, a whole wall. I mean, people have been doing vision walls for vision boards. Oh, love that. Other ideas? Solutions, opportunities, comments for Corinna. Let's see, I guess that's my purpose to choose somebody. Okay, Leah, you're next on my
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking that this work on meditation, whether we do the webinar or use the resources from the packet, is something that we can all pay attention to because it's so applicable to everything that we're doing. And it's something we tend to forget easily. I know I do. Like I have my own spiritual practice, but then I have to like remind myself of it past the first, half hour of the morning. And I've had like the parent of a 6th grader say, can we do something around stress management for middle schoolers?
Mm-hmm. So
I'm thinking that whatever we do, it's to help people cope with their lives. So my mantra is the old you bumper sticker or saying, which is nourish your spirit, help heal the world. You need both of those things. And sometimes we forget the first.
What a nice thing. Thank you, Leah. That's true. Kate Holland.
I think I'm just lurking on this one. I'm loving listening to everyone's idea. And oh my God, an entire wall for art? I so want one.
I know. I'm thinking we should do like a whole suggestion that all our Soul Matters congregations have this art wall. I'm going to talk to you more, Sam, about that. That is so cool because it's so interactive. Great. Okay, thanks, Kate. And let's see who. Joan, how about you? Do you have some comments about what are we talking about? Opportunities, solutions.
I'm trying to figure out how to unmute. I guess, for me, I definitely was focusing on the meditation part because I think kids need to learn how to be peaceful within themselves. So, and I don't even know the kids yet. So that will definitely be kind of one of my focuses. And when you were talking about having the youth create a labyrinth, and I'm thinking, well, I have the space inside that maybe we create a labyrinth in a bigger open room so that then people can do a silent meditation walk. That's about the only thing I could think of at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Joan. I used a canvas labyrinth from a Methodist colleague. And Corinna, I'm wondering if that would be a way of portraying a house almost. A place to walk a canvas labyrinth as part of your service. I was there when Rebecca Parker presented at the Laredo Fall Conference her House of Our Faith as part of RE Theology. And another piece of that I wanted to mention was at the end she said, so now you understand all these words. She did the Latin words, the epistemology and the missiology and all these words that, were pretty long words for me. And yet she said all the Christians know these words because this is how they see their faith. So if we translate our faith into these same words, it's easier to have a bridge in a conversation. And if we look at our house, we then understand what we're looking at. And she said, so we built our house, and it was just the same thing that Leah pointed out as a roof with 4 walls. She said it looks like a New England colonial house, which is what we thought our UU house would look like, maybe. We didn't even think about it. It just showed up. She said, so what about a house that looks like a Hogan? A house that looks like a compound? And how come our house looks this way and not other ways? So that might be a thing to play with. What other houses? And then the other thing she added was, what's our neighborhood look like? Because we walk out of our house and go and take pictures from other people's walls and put them in our house. In other words, our approach to interfaith work and our approach to understanding world religions. That was another intriguing metaphor she spoke about.
Ah, that's interesting. I'm thinking about the idea of the Wonderbox story for this service to be a house is a house for me, where it's this funny rhyming story where a shoe is a home for a foot, and and it talks about all these different ways that you can look at different things as houses, just because I think the children would like that. It would get very chanty for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that idea too about why do we think of houses as these four-walled things with a roof and everything. It's almost too meta. I think at this first step, it would just be good to just talk about the garden and the walls and the windows and the doors and the roof and let it just sit at that.
Yes.
So it'll be enough for them to digest.
Yeah, really. Yep. Most excellent. Oh, there's all kinds of things on the chat here. Painter's tape and felt. Oh, for the labyrinth, painter's tape and felt taped to the ground. I bet. Yep. Great. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's just move down my list here. Sam, talk DRE Beth Moss.
I don't think I have much. I hadn't posted a link for something a friend of mine did. She's a social worker at a school, and it's called the Take What You Need board. I feel like it could apply to really a vast number of topics, but the general idea is that you take a bunch of Post-its and you write positive, self-affirming thoughts on them, and you put them on the board, and the expectation is that people will just come and take them and feel good about themselves, and you put a pad out, so if they want to write something else affirming and leave it for someone else, they can, but absolutely don't have to. And that's something I hope to implement at some point this year here. So that's it.
All right, great. Thanks, Beth. And our audio person, 1570, might have something to share. On the phone, there we go. Okay. All right, let's just go on. So now we're at a point where we can do our takeaways. So this would be where you want to highlight, oh yeah, I'm going to definitely do this, because by hearing it, it helps our own reflections too. So Kate Holland, do you want to start?
Yeah, I guess I do. I definitely want to look at the Tim Atkins umbrella story. That sounds fabulous. And I also like the idea of the youth doing a labyrinth or something. We have a youth room that's dedicated space for them. And so we could have something that they did and then invite the congregation to come into their space. So I'm really excited about thinking of that. And I think that's all I got.
Awesome. What a nice thing to have the adults come and visit them in their room. I love that. All right, Leah.
So I'm not doing coming of age per se this year, but I like to do things stealthily. So I'm thinking about using the Michael Servetus story for my 8th and 9th graders this year. They're really into, anarchy and subversion, and they're a bunch of radicals. And so I think that for them to hear some stories about how, we always present our UUs in this wonderful light kind of thing. And if we present them warts and all and the things that didn't work and the betrayal story, I think they're going to really get into, because they're so justice focused,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a neat way to sneak in some UU heritage and identity for them.
Yes, and there is a whole role play theater, readers theater link in the packet that I found that would be really fun to give to them to read. Long time ago, when I did a Renaissance module on UU history, there was a worship which has since been taken out. But the worship was, what would you be willing to die for? After talking about Michael Servetus. And just that question was so impactful. Sometimes it was problematic, that it was a little too scary for some people who were going through traumatic things already. And yet, the way it was done was you passed a match around after talking about Michael Servetus, and you lit the match. And then you talked about what you would be willing to die for. Yes, anyway, I'll just throw that out. Corinna.
I will definitely be focusing on a service project to do with Austin Sanctuary Network, since there are several churches in this area that are actively providing sanctuary to people. So I don't know if that will come during my children's chapel moment or if we will do that at another time, but yeah, I'll definitely focus on that. So looking forward to it.
Nice. Yeah. All right, and Sam?
First, I had an ADD moment, Corinna. I love your color-coded books behind you. I couldn't stop staring at it. I was hearing you, but I couldn't stop staring. It's fabulous. Thank you for that. Takeaways, I definitely want to look more into this umbrella story. I'm fascinated and want to delve more into it. Over the summer, the idea of a labyrinth produced by the youth came up, and I really like this idea, and the conversation here really helped, so I need to get that introduced, and we have a couple of spaces that could work in, so definitely want to introduce and start the conversation on that. And coming of age, we're not doing coming of age this year. Instead, we did coming of age last year. This year we're doing crossing paths, which I'm really excited about. I love the curriculum, with the goal that we will be alternating years with crossing paths and coming of age to give the youth a better grounding to work on before they move on to creating faith statements and exploring their own journey. So I'm very excited to see how that all comes together. To be continued.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. DRE Beth.
Nothing to add for the moment.
Okay, thanks, Beth. And how about our audio caller at 1570-357-5657? All right. I guess if it's not green, it shows up gray on my screen. She might have found something else to do. Imagine that. Okay. We have 10 minutes left in our conversation. I don't have a whole lot more. You've done very well keeping time, everybody. Thank you. I will leave you and then stay on if you'd like to chat more with a little gratitude. Thank you, as always, for building the sacred spaces which sustain us all. I know you are working hard right now, and I thank you on behalf of the people who are going to make these memories and remember the things that you've done for them. So thank you. I'm going to stop recording.